She also told her that being yelled at made her feel shamed and humiliated. In plain view of both dogs was a bowl of treats, sausage and dark bread. Sherry was so thrilled she was about to jump out of her skin. He didn't know what his future held and felt aimless. Creation science calls itself science, but many call foul. Whoever controls time controls the situation in most instances. Lacking sounds and visuals, it is not a rich sensory encounter. It is sometimes difficult to know the boundaries of the health system. In addition, the judges will consider the hospitality that was shown. Friend relaxed, the warm air lulling her into a state of relaxation. When researching online, consider the source. Water is removed when potatoes are fried, cereals toasted, and steak broiled. The bamboo barriers capture soil, preventing it from washing down the slope. Even better, indulge in a warm bath with these oils dissolved in the water. It doesn't matter how hard you try, being successful is like winning the lottery. After all, we keep doing it, so what we really want, it seems, is to stop wanting. Doris sank down in the hard plastic chair as if that would make her invisible. Cape Cod, known to its many admirers as the Cape, has many other charms. Sometimes facts and recollections do seem to pop effortlessly into your mind. At any moment, a person has a particular take on what is happening. It is fine for the streets to be winding and for the street network to be varied. I wish that I could fly like that. It is a security that is a claim on the earnings and assets of the corporation. More than once I thought I saw a ghostly figure standing at a dark corner. Ethics requires that we follow rules that we have examined critically. Food insecurity can be generated by dynamics that may appear overall positive. What does it mean for art to speak a truth? Fortunately, a pollutant is a very weak hormone compared with the real one. Then I felt it, the massive tremble of the ground beneath me. Mark Hauser believes that you learn morality like you do language. When he spoke, I realized that I was watching his concern for me take form. I know she will give your medical center the attention it deserves. It is precisely from that perception that change efforts can start. All about them lay the wrecks of other grounded wooden vessels. Our oceans act like a sponge, absorbing CO2 from the air. During their early years, they are unable to understand or abide by rules. For example, suppose you have what you think is a clever idea for an invention. I watched for shifting shapes within the shadows, but couldn't see anything. His preferences go to determine what is to be produced and what is not. I opened the locked door and approached my friend Abraham lying in bed. We assume that those who feel nothing have yet to accept their loss. He had skin issues and seemed miserable in his foster home's desert heat. This skill isn't about making the emotional storm enjoyable. It is in symmetrical formations that rationalism first emerges. She felt as if the counselor were in the room with her. He was breathing, which meant that he was alive. She adopted the poodle mix she named Munchie. To do this, it is essential that we listen to what our customers have to say. Suddenly, he was standing in my doorway with his right arm raised. In that appeal to our self-centeredness lies their best hope. The more humans fill the world, the more we empty it. A graduate student in history has a paper to write on the French Revolution. You recorded what you thought you were seeing as you took the pictures. The Romans used leaf to line many of their cooking and storage vessels. The next time they saw him, they asked him what had happened to the club. It is crucial to value differences in our increasingly interdependent world. It's how we use, or allocate, those resources that truly matters. Whoever controls time controls the situation in most instances. To avoid injury, do not allow children to play with the small parts. Little did he know that he had sounded the end of his brain. Choose any technique that you think would look good on a t-shirt. The lawn should be avoided until it is dry. The cold air stung his eyes, making tears stream from them. We understand events in terms of other events we have already understood. The way in which people shape landscapes often reflects the dominant culture. Her relatives were sent to Auschwitz, where her father was killed. You can eat the egg-shaped fruit growing at the top of the cactus. Also edible are the flat stems called pads. These limits are the scope of the license and define which acts are permissible. Every thought you encounter or conjure up you filter through this state. It really does take more out of you to lie than to tell the truth. We hired a female graduate who had most of the qualities we sought. Experience managing forces of flight, loading cargo, and planning flights. His goal was to help the two leaders negotiate a peace agreement. Although no longer manned, the tower still sends its light out into the night. Hidden inside one of them was a smaller box, which he removed carefully. Its texture was so fine that it was carried great distances. When selling a property, it is assumed that you are selling all real property. We understand that man versus fish in the water, fish wins. The tiny ones used to die, even with lots of attention. Words would get exhausted if they tried to express as many meanings as that. Only then did poor Posner realize what he had said. We need to buy more paperback books to sustain a library you can trust. She is always quick to help with whatever we need, no matter what it is. My resume is attached in case you are interested. Unable to resist, I buried my features in it, and laughed with delight. I climbed down from the chair feeling distinctly indebted. Very seldom do they discover something wrong. The accent was more noticeable than it had first been on the telephone. However, recycling has certain limitations when applied to radioactive materials. Therefore, an audience can never be sure exactly what the artist had in mind. The more things change, the more they stay the same. She once told Kay that she was allergic to the stuff the world made. Again, how much of a problem this is depends upon your expectations. and because herds are easier to spot than single animals, roe deer live alone. Extended reading and writing is something small elite groups do. Forewarned but undaunted, Odysseus sailed into peril anyway. Thus, buildings that are deeper than 12 m may require more artificial light. It was in the fall that Dad had gotten a new pump. He read their annual report carefully, not really finding anything interesting.